On the morning of June 8, 1998, Nigeria woke up to the kind of news that makes a whole country pause. General Sani Abacha was dead, not retired, not overthrown, not forced to resign, dead. The man who ruled Nigeria with fear, secrecy, and absolute control had suddenly died inside Aso Rock. Officially, it was a heart attack. Reports at the time said Abacha died on June 8, 1998, at age 54, and was succeeded by General Sani Abubakar. The U.S. Congressional Research Service later summarized it simply: Abacha died of a reported heart attack and was replaced by Sani Abubakar. But Nigerians being Nigerians, the story did not end there. Some said poison, some said political conspiracy, some said foreign agents, some said the official story was too simple. And because Abacha was buried quickly, according to Muslim tradition, without a public autopsy, the rumors only grew louder. But whether he died of natural causes or something darker, one thing is clear: his death changed Nigeria. It ended one of the harshest military regimes in Nigerian history. It opened the door to the release of political prisoners. It disrupted a transition program many believed was designed to keep him in power, and within 1 year, Nigeria returned to civilian rule. So today we are asking, what really happened on the day Abacha died? What led Nigeria to that moment? What was the impact on the country? What do public and declassified records tell us? And what lessons should Nigeria learn from that period? To understand the day Abacha died, we cannot begin with the death itself. We have to begin with the Nigeria he controlled. Because by 1998, Nigeria was not just waiting for elections, Nigeria was holding its breath. Sani Abacha was one of the most powerful soldiers in Nigerian history. He was born in Kano in 1943 and rose through the Nigerian army, serving during the Civil War and later becoming one of the key figures in Nigeria's long military era. By the 1980s and early 1990s, Abacha was no longer just another senior officer. He was involved in the machinery of military power. He played roles in several moments that shaped Nigeria's military politics. By 1993, he was defense minister and one of the most powerful men in the country. And then came the crisis that changed everything: the June 12th, 1993 election. In 1993, Nigerians voted in an election widely regarded as one of the freest and fairest in the country's history. The presumed winner was Chief Moshood Kashimawo Olawale Abiola, popularly known as MKO Abiola. But the election was annulled by the military government of General Ibrahim Babangida. That annulment broke something in Nigeria. People protested, civil society groups mobilized, the country became tense. Babangida stepped aside. An interim national government led by Ernest Shonekan was put in place, but that arrangement was weak. On November 17, 1993, Sani Abacha pushed Shonekan aside and took power.
Sequel to the resignation of the former head of the interim national government and commander-in-chief of the armed forces, Chief Ernest Shonekan, and my subsequent appointment as head of state and commander-in-chief.
Public summaries of the period describe Abacha's takeover as the last successful coup in Nigeria's military history. And once he entered power, he did not rule like a temporary caretaker. He ruled like a man determined to control everything.
Consequently, the following decisions come into immediate effect. The interim national government is hereby dissolved. The national and state assemblies are also dissolved. The state executive councils are dissolved.
The Abacha years were heavy years. Opposition figures were detained, journalists were harassed, pro-democracy activists were watched, Civil society groups operated under pressure. Many Nigerians were afraid to speak openly. Human Rights Watch described Abacha's death as bringing an abrupt end to a discredited transition program that appeared designed for his self-succession as a civilian president. That sentence is important because by 1998, many Nigerians believe the transition program was not really about democracy. It was about Abacha removing his uniform and coming back as a civilian president. So when he died suddenly, it did not just end a life. It ended a political project. By early 1998, the message was everywhere. Abacha must continue. 5 political parties had emerged under his transition program, and famously, all of them adopted him as their presidential candidate. Think about that. 5 parties, 1 candidate. That alone tells you the kind of democracy Nigeria was being offered. There were rallies, there were endorsements, there were groups asking him to transform from military ruler to civilian president. One of the best-known groups was Youth Earnestly Ask for Abacha, often called YEAA, which campaigned for Abacha's self-succession. To his supporters, he was the strong leader Nigeria needed. To critics, this was not democracy. It was military rule wearing agbada. And then, before that project could fully mature, June 8th happened. The exact private details of Abacha's final hours remain surrounded by secrecy and rumor. But the public story is clear. On June 8, 1998, General Sani Abacha died suddenly at the presidential villa in Abuja. He was 54. The official explanation was a heart attack. The Washington Post reported at the time that Abacha had died on June 8th, reportedly of a heart attack, after ruling Nigeria since 1993. He was buried the same day in line with Muslim rites. There was no public autopsy, and that gap, that missing medical closure, became the opening for endless theories. Now let's talk about the question everyone asks. Was Abacha poisoned? The responsible answer is, we do not have publicly proven evidence that replaces the official heart attack explanation. But there were rumors, and some foreign reports later gave those rumors more weight. Public summaries note that the government identified the cause as a sudden heart attack, while speculation about poisoning spread partly because there was no public autopsy. Some later reports said US officials considered the possibility that he may have been poisoned. Other stories involved women, foreign intelligence, political rivals, or internal betrayal. But here is the problem. Rumor is not evidence, and history must be careful. So in this documentary we can say, officially, Abacha died of a heart attack. Unofficially, the circumstances produced many rumors, including poisoning. But no publicly available official medical finding has conclusively proven those rumors. That line is strong, honest, and safe, because the real story is not only how he died. The bigger story is what his death did to Nigeria. When people say classified reports, we have to be careful. I cannot honestly say that a secret file proves exactly how Abacha died. But we do have public, unclassified and declassified style records that help us understand what his death meant. The US Congressional Research Service, in an unclassified report on Nigeria's political transition, recorded that Abacha died of a reported heart attack on June 8, 1998, and was replaced by Abdulsalami Abubakar. The US State Department's 1998 Human Rights Report on Nigeria stated that after succeeding Abacha, General Abubakar abandoned Abacha's transition program and began a process aimed at restoring constitutional democracy. Human Rights Watch also reported that Abacha's death ended the transition program that appeared designed to turn him into a civilian president, and that his successor brought the first real hopes in years for an elected government. Amnesty International reported that after Abacha's death, the new government gradually released more than 140 political prisoners and began a new transition to civil rule, with a civilian handover scheduled for May 29, 1999. So even when the exact medical details remain debated, public records agree on one thing: Abacha's death changed the direction of Nigeria's politics almost immediately. Imagine the military high command that morning. The man at the center of power was gone. There was no election, no planned transfer, no public succession process, no democratic institution strong enough to take over. In a dictatorship, power often looks strong from outside, but it is actually fragile because everything depends on one person. Once that person disappears, the whole system starts asking, who takes over? Who controls the army? Who controls the security services? Who controls the treasury? Who controls the transition? Who calms the country? The military moved quickly and selected General Sani Abacha as head of state, and that decision became one of the most important turning points in modern Nigerian history. General Sani Abacha was not expected by many Nigerians to become the man who would end military rule, but that is what happened. After taking over, he moved faster than many expected. He released political prisoners. He opened up political space. He cancelled Abacha's transition arrangement. He set a new timetable. And by May 29, 1999, Nigeria returned to civilian rule. That does not mean everything became perfect, far from it. But compared to the atmosphere before Abacha's death, the change was dramatic. In less than 1 year, Nigeria moved from a feared military dictatorship to the beginning of the Fourth Republic. But there was one major unresolved issue: MKO Abiola. Abiola, the presumed winner of the June 12, 1993 election, was still in detention when Abacha died. Many Nigerians believed that true justice required Abiola to be released and recognized. But on July 7, 1998, less than 1 month after Abacha's death, Abiola also died while in custody. That second death deepened the national trauma. For many Nigerians, 1998 was not just the year Abacha died. It was the year both the jailer and the symbol of the stolen mandate died. One death opened the transition. The other complicated the moral meaning of that transition. Abacha's death had 5 major impacts on Nigeria. First, it ended the self-succession project. The plan for Abacha to become civilian president collapsed instantly. Second, it opened the door for political prisoners to be released. Amnesty International reported that more than 140 political prisoners were gradually released under the new military government. Third, it restored hope to pro-democracy movements. Activists who had been detained, exiled, or silenced began to see a real opening. Fourth, it improved Nigeria's international standing. Nigeria had been heavily criticized under Abacha, especially after the execution of Ken Saro-Wiwa and the Ogoni 9 in 1995. In 2025, AP noted that their execution under Abacha's regime had sparked international outrage and that rights groups continued to question the credibility of the trial. Fifth, it led directly to the Fourth Republic. By May 29, 1999, military rule formally ended, and Olusegun Obasanjo was sworn in as civilian president. So yes, Abacha's death was personal, but its consequences were national. To understand why many Nigerians reacted the way they did, we must remember the human rights climate of the time. The Abacha regime was accused of detaining opponents, intimidating journalists, and crushing dissent. Human Rights Watch reported in March 1998, just months before his death, that the regime continued to employ repressive tactics to control perceived opponents. This was the atmosphere people were living in. Fear was normal, silence was survival, exile was common, prison was always possible. So when Abacha died, some people mourned him, but many others quietly felt that the country had been released from a grip. That is the complicated truth of power. A leader can be loved by some and feared by many at the same time. Abacha's death also opened another long chapter, the search for stolen public funds. Years after his death, the phrase Abacha loot became part of Nigerian political vocabulary. The United States Department of Justice announced in 2022 that it had reached an agreement with Nigeria to repatriate more than $23 million in assets stolen by former dictator General Sani Abacha. In 2020, the governments of Jersey, Nigeria, and the United States announced the return of more than $308 million in confiscated funds connected to Abacha-era assets. The World Bank also documented monitoring arrangements for repatriated Abacha funds, emphasizing transparency and accountability in the use of returned assets. So the impact of Abacha's rule did not end in 1998. Even decades later, Nigeria was still recovering money linked to that era. And that tells us something important. When corruption happens at the top, its consequences can last for generations. Abacha was not overthrown, but his death had the effect of removing a regime. That is why some people describe it almost like a cardiac coup. One moment, the system was pushing toward Abacha's continuation. The next moment, the center collapsed. No protest removed him. No election removed him. No court removed him. No coup removed him. Death removed him. And that is exactly why Nigeria must learn from it. A country should never depend on the death of one man to escape dictatorship. Institutions should be strong enough to stop abuse before it becomes national destiny. So what led to the event? Not medically, but historically. The road to June 8, 1998 began with the collapse of Nigeria's democratic transition in 1993. The annulment of June 12th created a legitimacy crisis. Abacha's takeover deepened military control. The detention of Abiola kept the wound open. The repression of activists made the country tense. The self-succession campaign made many Nigerians fear that military rule would not end soon. And then suddenly the man at the center of all of it was gone. That is why the death mattered so much. It happened at the exact moment Nigeria felt politically trapped. So, what should Nigeria learn from the day Abacha died? Lesson 1. Never build a country around one man. Strong men look powerful, but they make institutions weak. Lesson 2. Elections must be respected. The crisis that produced Abacha's rule began with the annulment of June 12th. Lesson 3. Democracy without accountability is fragile. Civilian rule is not enough if leaders behave like military rulers in Agbada. Lesson 4. Human rights must not depend on who is in power. No Nigerian should lose freedom simply because they criticize government. Lesson 5. Corruption at the top damages generations. The recovery of Abacha-era assets decades later shows that stolen public wealth outlives the ruler who stole it. Lesson 6. Transition programs must be real, not staged. A democracy where all parties support one ruler is not democracy. Lesson 7. History must be taught honestly. Young Nigerians should understand Abacha not only as a rumor-filled death story, but as a warning about power, fear, and institutions. Here is the interesting part about this story. The rumors are not the most important part. The real drama is that one man's sudden death changed the direction of 120 million people. Nigeria was moving toward a controlled transition. Then the ruler died. Political prisoners began to come out. The old transition plan was thrown away. New parties emerged. Elections were organized. Military rule ended. That is more powerful than any poison apple story because it shows how fragile dictatorship can be. A system that looked unshakable in May 1998 was already gone by June. The day General Sani Abacha died remains one of the most dramatic days in Nigerian history. It was a day of shock. For some, it was grief. For others, it was relief. For the military, it was emergency succession. For pro-democracy activists, it was an opening. For Nigeria, it was a turning point. But the lesson is not that death saved Nigeria. The lesson is that Nigeria should never again reach a point where only death can open the door to freedom. A nation must not wait for a ruler to die before institutions work. It must build courts that can stand, elections that count, media that can speak, citizens that can question, security agencies that obey the law, and leaders who understand that power is temporary. Because in the end, Abacha's story reminds us of one simple truth. No matter how powerful a ruler becomes, history is always waiting. If you found this episode important, subscribe to Nigerian Encyclopedia for more stories about the people, events, and hidden moments that shaped Nigeria. And in the comments, tell us, what do you remember or what did you hear about the day Abacha died?